Alright, fix some lighting. Hi guys, this is Tenten's biggest fan, or Michelle, or whatever the hell you want to call me, and today we're going to learn how to cross stitch. Cross stitching is basically embroidery with a special kind of cloth, which I'll show you in a second. I learned it recently this summer from my meme, who loved to do it. She can't do it more because of her hands anymore, but I like it. Sorry, I keep looking down, playing with my needles. Uh, and I have a Tumblr, which I'll give to you guys if you want, and they were all interested in me doing a cross stitching video, so, or some of my followers, and yeah, so I'm going to teach you guys how to do it. We're going to start with Batman, because that is the first full one I have made, and I love Batman so much. It's actually my dad's birthday present. It was his birthday, and I'm not coming home till next month, but I want to make him a Batman symbol. Get a lovely shot of my Hannibal shirt here. Yeah, cross stitching is really great. I like it. How to start is you can either get basic supplies and get like one of those starter kits. I didn't particularly like it because I tried to make a cat and this didn't work. So Batman was the first real full thing I made myself. It's really fun. So we're gonna get started. First off, for you guys who sew, the needles are very different. For example, this is a sewing needle. Very tiny hole right there. With sewing, you use one thread. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Just a little tiny sliver of thread. With this, we use its thread, but it's called floss. Lovely conglomerate. We call it floss. It is 6 threads together, and it's very hard to see, but it's 6 threads together. So we don't use all 6, but we don't use one either. I typically use 2 to 3. I happen to use 3 because I just think it looks nicer. You want to make sure that you separate the floss so you're not using this whole piece, because otherwise it's going to end up looking like the little yellow here. It's very chunky, it's hard to get through, and it's a waste of time. And you can see for the needle for cross-stitching embroidery, whatever you'll call it, it's quite a bit thicker. It's a little shorter too. Where did I put that sewing needle? I don't want to sit on it later. My dorm room is just, I go to college, and my dorm room is just a conglomerate of needles and thread, and it's nuts. Alright, so we're going to start with the basics. I already told you guys it's called floss, so we'll do a little more of that later. The cloth, we don't use regular cloth for cross stitching. You use something called, I have it right here. I can never pronounce it. I always say Alda. It's Ida, or if that's how you pronounce it. It's a fabric like this. It has the little holes you can see, and they form X's, which the X's are the basis of your work. I recommend as a new person, the lower count you go, the bigger the holes are and the easier it is for you. So don't start off with 22, what's it called? 22 count, don't do that. The holes are really small. I still use 14 count. I think I've used 16 before, and that wasn't bad. 14 count is definitely a great one for beginners. They usually come in white. You can get it in other colors, like a tan or a black. I prefer to use white. And it's fairly cheap. I don't know how much I can... This is a thing I bought at Michael's, the craft store. I think it was about $5, $3. It wasn't very expensive. I think in comparison to sewing, it's a lot less expensive. Although I'm trying to learn how to sew too, so that's always fun. And cross stitching is also very good for sewing too, because I fixed my shirt, I fixed my pillow right there, and I sewed a button on my shirt. So definitely cross stitching has those sort of valuables. If I talk too fast, don't be afraid to go in the comments and ask me to stop. I'm a very fast talker. The next slide you'll need is some scissors. Regular scissors are okay. I prefer using, these are kind of sharper sewing-like scissors. My meme lent them to me, and I kind of just never gave them back. Oh, it's such a beautiful day out. But it's college kids visit. You know, it's that open house day for my college, so hide all day. Maybe go do some things. Not what my college is. Next is what I bet you guys probably think is complicated. It's not that bad. It's the hoop. The plastic ones are more expensive. I happen to get these at Walmart. They weren't that bad. Most of the supplies you can get at Walmart. For quality thread, I don't know. Thread's fairly cheap. I got a nice big pack for $10 at Walmart. Wood's less expensive, but if you apply too much force, it probably can break. I'm using it only because I need a very big size hoop for my friend's wedding. I'm making her a gift too. Lots of things going on. The bigger hoop is going to go on top of your Ida cloth, and the smaller hoop, they usually say this side up. How good that is too. Yeah, this side up. It's a little backwards, but so we're gonna do that. What you do is you put the bigger one on your Ida cloth and cut a square. I'm not going to show you how to do that because this is a pre-cut and I've already put it on to test it. So, we want to get this together first. So you're going to take the bigger one, make sure little metal things. I'm going to put it right here. And then on the bottom, you're going to put the smaller ring in. You want to make sure that it goes into the bigger hoop. You'll feel it kind of click in. That's why you want a smaller one on the bottom. And then you take this, and I'll try to show you my best. You want to just, twist it until you feel it become tighter. You can see this part closing, I think. Yeah, it's getting smaller. So you do that. I don't know how tight you get it, just so you feel like it's not going to fall apart. You want it you don't want it very loose. You want it fairly tight because if you're trying to sew and it's flopping all over the place, that's not a good thing. Next is you want to get your pattern. Like I said, you could get a pattern from one of those $2 starter kits. I don't personally. Well, I had one, but you can find a lot of things on Pinterest, Google, Tumblr, a lot of sites. I mean, I Googled patterns for half my stuff. I found a pattern for a cute little baby tiger, and I did that. So I have a Pinterest on my phone right here. The only reason I have a Pinterest account, I swear to God, is just look up some cross-stitching patterns and save them to a board. And other things too. I think Pinterest is very useful. I want to show you guys my pattern that I'm using. Some of what you can do is you can find the pattern. If you have a Pinterest, you can pin it and then maybe print it off so you can look at it that way, or you can put it on your computer. What you want to do though, no matter how you do it, is you want to cross off, which is why just looking at it's kind of a bad idea. You want to cross off your rows as you do it so you don't get confused. And counting is the biggest thing with this guy looks like the 11th Doctor that lives in our room, and yeah, so he just walked in, and I'm like, what? Huh, Aaron? You want to cross off your rows. Counting is the biggest thing, and you don't want to lose count. You can undo a stitch if you catch it the first, when you make it, but it's very difficult to do it after. Luckily, most people don't know cross-stitching, so they just look at it and go, oh my god, this is amazing. I don't see any errors, and I make errors in almost everything. So here's my Batman symbol. I'll hold it rather close. It's easier when you have it. You see all the squares. Now, I've done this before, so I happen to know that it's, let me go back, sorry. You want to start in the middle. You don't want to start top or bottom. You want to start in the middle. Do that middle row, and then I'd recommend going bottom, and then do your top, and obviously do one color at a time. We're going to do black to make the Batman symbol. The reason I say this is because I'll show you guys, but if you go up, you're gonna undo your thread. If you make a stitch, an X here, and you're trying to go top, you're gonna undo that bottom stitch. And to avoid that, you have to you can't hit the hole. You have to make a hole below the hole, and it's long and it just doesn't make it look as good. So I'd recommend starting with that middle row, go down, and then kind of go to where the top of your design would be, and then work your way down as well. And then when you start the yellow, you can do that similarly. For me, I kind of cheat because it's such, it's not as precise as the bat symbol. I just kind of work my way down or work my way in rows, but we'll get to that. I'm not going to show you guys the entire stitch today. I might check in later depending on how popular this is. I know this is quite long, so I apologize. But we're going to get stitching. So, now because I've done this before, I happen to know that there's 19 rows to make this bat, and the middle row is 36 across. I happen to know that. Normally I'd count, I'd probably bring it up on my computer and do my crossings, and I probably actually will end up bringing it in my computer because it is pretty a big design. So this is kind of a clump. Normally it's over there and I don't want to reach. So my desk going over there. It comes in a nice little like thing. I've used my black thread before, and I think I haven't. I have to go more shopping for more black thread. I really did screw. This is such a ball, such a mess. I should have fixed it before I talked to you guys. Anyway, so you want to make. I tend to use as long of a thread as possible because I just don't like threading my needle, so I'm kind of lazy that way. So you take this, cut it. I don't have to cut it. It's just a sharp object. Sorry. You remember things and then you're like, did I do that today? The only problem with doing a longer thread is that when you're separating it, it tends to get a little, like when your headphones are inside your pocket. So be careful with that. Sometimes I do lose some thread, but oh well. So, how to split it. You'll see it's kind of coming undone. Yeah, you see it's a little right here. It's coming undone, so that's kind of actually ends up working out. Save power on my phone. So I like to kind of separate it like this. It does take a little bit of fine fingers, but you see right here, I have 3 threads and 3 threads. So then we're just gonna oh, okay. Getting a little knot right here, so you want to pull this as best you can. It still gets a little complicated, but I'm going to work through it. You see me, I'm kind of doing this as a habit. I'll kind of hold it down and be like, fine. Yay! Okay, we've done it. Huzzah! Now, as with sewing, and I apologize if I'm making all these sewing comparisons, you guys don't sew, and that's okay, but you can learn quite a bit from cross-stitching. I'm not saying one's easier than the other, but, definitely they both kind of lead into each other. I think sewing is a very useful skill to go on a tangent. Fixing clothes, making clothes, if you're into that, it might be more expensive, but you can always repair your own clothes. Fuck. Okay, sorry. Ugh. Sorry if there's any kids watching this. So you take your thread. Oh, I'm left-handed. So I'll show how to make a stitch with the right hand as I understand it. It's hard for me to do with my right hand, so lefties. Lefty. I have a perfect view of the window. I'm on the first floor, so I just creep on people. I have actually both my both of my blinds open, so that's fun. So you want to take this little thread, wrap it around your finger. You make a little hole. I'm trying to show you guys like this. You take the string. You're gonna slip it in as best you can. It does take a little bit of finger work, and then kind of pull a knot. Now this itty bitty knot, I don't know if you guys can see it, it's not going to be enough. You want to do the same knot in the same spot 2 more times for a total of 3 times. Now sometimes when you do that, when you make another hole like I'm doing right now, let's see if I can actually accidentally screw this up. I did. Okay, cool. It's not going to be as stinky now if you can. There are 2 holes, 2 different places. That's okay, just kind of keep wrapping it with your finger until you've gotten 3 holes. Like I've got one, this is my second one in that spot. You see it's a little bit bigger. Now the reason we do 3 holes is because I've experimented, and 1 hole, it just goes right through the thread, right through the cloth. Yes! Yeah. Now what I like to do is just cut that end off because it just kind of hangs on the end. And the thing with when you cross stitch, I was told by my mama, you want to make the back almost look like the front, just stitchy. Like, see how this right here is all, that's not really what you want it to look like. There's some of these parts that are kind of good. You want it to look more or less like that. Did have to use different color threads. So, I'm going to try that. I'm also not going to show you guys how to, end a stitch, but it's basically tight. Like, what I like to do is separate the threads like this and then make a little knot. You're technically supposed to go through the row with your needle, but I've always found my method to be easier. It's all up for interpretation, to be honest. Whatever way that either you've been taught or you think is better for you. Sorry, I'm looking for my needle. Lance Armstrong on a donut. That's going to be my new cursing. Okay. Luckily, I'm going to end up stabbing my foot later, I know it. What? Oh, I found it. Ow! Yep, right here. But a good sewer always has a small pack of needles. They weren't very expensive. I just stabbed my finger. Yeah, cross-stitching can be dangerous. You also might get your hands kind of like a Raiders carpal tunnel, just not with writing. I don't know where that was going with. Oh. Wet your needle with your mouth. It's a habit for me at this point, so just, fiber. Alright, so we have our thread that's relatively this, and we're gonna do our best to poke it in the hole there. Oh my god, I did it on the first try. It got in, and then you want to take it with your thumb and your, this is an index finger, pull it through just so you have a little bit of space, and your needle's threaded. Yay! So, to start, you would count and sort of do it. It depends on what you want to do. There's letters you can stitch letters. I found a couple of platelets. I'd be happy. Templates to send people if they want to know, or see them rather. So those are pretty easy. So depending if I'm not going to do just a Batman symbol, I'm probably going to write Happy Birthday Dad or I Love You Dad on it. So I'm going to start kind of at the top. If you're just doing the design, you might want to start in the middle. So it's the focus of your piece. Sorry, I'm probably frightening small children. So you're gonna start from the bottom here. Start from the bottom. Now we're here. Yeah. You're gonna poke it through like this. You're gonna pull your needle through. And I'd recommend tugging it just to make sure it actually. See, I'm kind of tugging it right here. It's staying, so that's good. If you made like a smaller knot sort of thing, one knot shouldn't interfere with it. And then you've stuck it in here. You're gonna go diagonal to the right. Yeah, because I'm left-handed, so go diagonal to the right. And you'll see when you get the Ida cloth, the dots kind of make squares. So we're gonna put it diagonal to the right, and I apologize for the quality of my video. And we're gonna pull it in here. We've done that, and then straight down to the box right here. So you've done here, here to here, and then you're gonna poke down there. We're gonna do that, and then you're gonna go so you've gone to here, you went here, here. Now you're gonna go diagonal to finish your X. Go down here. And now, I don't know, but now you've made your X. Hooray, everybody! You've made an X! And I would do that till I've made 36 X's across from here, and the row would be done. And then I would go down, and I think the next row is another 36, so it's the same thing. Do a lot of counting, just keep referencing your drawings. Actually, this is a good place to show you. I think I made this stitch too close. Yay! So we're actually going to change this. I definitely made the stitch too close. So we're going to change this. So you're going to go right to where you just did your last stitch, and you're going to put your needle through. So I'm going to be here. I'm going to pull it through, and it undoes the stitch. And that goes to my point about why you don't go bottom to up, because that's going to happen. And then you poke your needle where the thread's hanging out. And if your thread loses, like mine just did, Rethread the sucker. Pull it through, and then it comes out. And then you're gonna go, so you undid that one, you undid that one. Now you're gonna undo this one. It's just going in reverse. And it's just a pain in my patootie. There you go out. And then you hit that last thread. And you've gotten your thread out. So now I'm gonna do it in a slightly not stupider position. So I'm doing it here, here, da, 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 da. And then you've done, dun, dun, dun. Now you're gonna go dun. Just remember that, dun, 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 dun. Alright, and the last thing I'm going to show you guys is how to do it with your right hand, because I know 90% of people in the world are righties, and I am not. I'm one of the, I am the 10%. It's going to be the same thing, I suppose, just, and then it does take time to, like, poke it with the Ida floss. Sometimes it'll go up, and you'll be like, that's really not where I wanted to stitch it. I guess it wouldn't matter if you went, sorry, get in the hole. Ha 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 ha. I guess it wouldn't matter if you went da 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 da. The thing is, if you do that, you have to do all your stitches that way. You want to be consistent. Some of these stitches aren't consistent on my first one, and it does show if you're looking at it more close up. It looks very sloppy. So it's a good thing if you want to do it that way. If you have more comfortable that way, I'm going to do it my way because, well, I want to be consistent, and now I've got to the point where I'm very anal about it. So that's a thing now. So yeah, this is how we cross stitch, ladies and gentlemen. Womans and gentlemen. And as you can see, I've migrated to my left hand because that's how I roll. Now, I have made a mistake as it appears on the back here. I think some of the thread just got tangled, and that's okay. I'm not really worried. People mostly don't look at the back. Your front will look fine. As you can see, my front looks fine. So that's an absurdly long video, but that is the basics of cross stitching. Depending on the response, I might do more videos, I might not. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something today, and happy cross stitching.